My name is Ben Peck, and I'm with the National PTA, and I'm the Senior State Advocacy Strategist there. I lead our efforts on the Common Core State Standards. I think the perspective that I'm going to offer here is a little bit different than some of the other speakers. The other speakers are very much involved in the details of implementation, and our members are all volunteers and have a lot of things on their mind, and so what we've been trying to do as an organization is to talk to them about why they should care about the Common Core State Standards. And we have created what we think is a group of parent leaders who now understand what the Common Core State Standards are. I just want to give you a little bit of background about why the PTA is involved in the Common Core State Standards campaign. So the PTA has a long history of involvement in advocacy activities. We were founded in 1897 as the National Parent-Teacher Association. We're comprised of 5 million members. We have 24,000 local units. We're active in all 50 states, territories, DC, and we have units in Europe at the military bases there. As the oldest and largest volunteer child advocacy association in the United States, PTA's legacy of influencing federal policy to protect education, health, and overall well-being of children has been there since the beginning. The 3 major areas that we're involved in are parent involvement in their children's education. When we started back in the early part of the 20th century, we were active in creating a division within the U.S. Bureau of Education that focused on educating parents about the needs of children. Most recently, we've helped to introduce legislation that would incentivize districts to get their parents involved in education, in their children's education. On the second plank of our platform, Opportunity and Equity for All Children, this is the plank under which we work on the Common Core State Standards. This also goes back to our founding. From the outset, we've championed the importance of equity for equal opportunity for all children, regardless of socioeconomic background, and addressed associated problems of child labor, childhood diseases, and the unfair punitive treatment of children involved in the justice system. In the 1920s, the PTA supported the establishment of a new organization, the National Congress of Colored Parents and Teachers, to provide PTA services in states that maintained separate schools by ethnicity. PTA provided training and literature to the newly established organization so that all parents could be advocates for their children. The organization continued to work collaboratively, both National PTA and the Colored Parent Teachers Association, until the groups formally merged in 1970. And today, we're working on the Common Core State Standards as part of our equity position. Child health is the third area of our work. The PTA was active in the creation of the U.S. Department of Public Health as well as the Department of Health and Human Services. Most recently, we were very active in the passage of the Child Nutrition Act. So we've continued in all these areas since our founding to the present day to be very active. Now, we also have, since 1981, a position statement in support of common standards. We've always been against federal control of education and any sort of federal mandatory standards, but have been very supportive of voluntary common standards because we believe that all children are entitled to high-quality education. Now, why? Why should parents be concerned about the Common Core State Standards? Well, first of all, parents and their children bear the costs of remedial education for their kids. In other words, it's parents who are being told throughout their K-12 years that their kids are on path to be successful after they graduate, that they have all the tools they need to succeed, only to find out that once their children go on to post-secondary education, they're in fact put in remedial classes. I know one speaker before me mentioned, Lucille mentioned that 90% in New Jersey, I believe that the national average is that 60% of all children in community colleges have to take some remedial classes. And the estimate is that remediation costs about $1.4 billion a year. That's in terms of foregone wages as well as the cost to parents and students of remedial non-credit bearing classes. So that's an issue for parents who want to see their kids leave high school ready to succeed. We're also interested because at the PTA, we know that education is opportunity. That's a foundation for us. We know that new jobs are going to require some post-secondary education. This table will show you the relationship between education and opportunity. When you have a higher level of education, you're much less likely to be unemployed, and you're much more likely to have a higher average income. You'll see on the right, $100,000 is the average income for people with a professional degree, and 1.2% is the average level of unemployment. Down at less than a high school, 6.8% is the average unemployment, and $25,000 is your average income. So we know that being ready for some type of post-secondary education is essential if you're going to get a stable, good-paying job. So what are we doing in terms of educating our parents? We're active right now in 8 states. Although we are providing information to all of our parents, we are particularly focused in 8 states. They are Florida, Georgia, New Jersey, North Carolina, Minnesota, Mississippi, Ohio, and Washington. We're communicating with state-level decision makers about PTA support for Common Core state standards, and we're educating PTA leaders at all levels on the reasons to support the Common Core state standards. To date, since we've become involved in this initiative in November of 2009, 140,000 PTA members have received written information, 8,000 have received information in person. We've had presentations both in English and in Spanish. And mind you, this is all volunteers taking their time to speak with other volunteers. We've also reached out to partner organizations to increase the voice and support of the Common Core state standards. And oftentimes what we're finding in our states is that we're one of the first organizations that catches the eye of the Department of Education, so that they are coming to us and saying, we would like to partner with you in order to educate parents. What we find there's a lot of need for are simple documents that demystify what are the standards for parents. We're working on a set of summaries or guides to the standards that will be parent-friendly. These will be one-page documents that summarize what is expected of your child in 3rd grade math, what is expected of your child in 3rd grade English. They will also include tips to parents about how they can work with their child at home, what kind of questions they can ask of their teachers, so that we're forming the partnership that we need to have to see that our children succeed. I think this final point is one that I'd like to emphasize, particularly with today's audience. We really see ourselves as an important conduit of information between parents and state-level decision makers. You know, oftentimes, unfortunately, we will find that bureaucracies will not communicate in a way that is friendly and understandable to our members. What we ask is that for those in the audience that are part of a state bureaucracy that communicates regularly with parents, come to us. Help us look at the materials. Talk with us about how you're going to reach out to parents. Use us as your partner in this effort so that we can work together to prevent misunderstandings before they happen. We've heard a lot about the problems of the transition. We know there's going to be bumps in the road. Come talk to us early, not after there's a problem. I think you'll find a willing partner in our state affiliates as well as our local units. Finally, I'd just like to share a couple stories of some PTA leaders that we've been working with and why they have become involved in the Common Core state standards. I'm sorry it's a little small on the screen. I'll just read it to you. Joe Hassler, a Seattle locksmith, retired from the military, whose daughter has followed him into the military, was motivated to work on the Common Core state standards when he took his granddaughter to elementary school. He learned the inconsistent standards from grade to grade meant that his granddaughter was facing the same problems his daughter had faced when he had been in the military and had to move. Maria Santiago, a single mother, was motivated to work on the Common Core state standards because of the problems she faced when she changed high schools in her senior year. Due to dramatically higher standards at the high school she moved to, 6 months prior to her expected graduation date, she was told she would not be allowed to graduate. Her new school determined she was only at their freshman level. She was so discouraged that she didn't resume her education until she was in her 20s. So those are just a couple stories from some of our volunteers that are working on this issue, and I think they make the point about why this is an issue that matters And I think the thing that we will struggle with throughout this process, which is trying to explain some very complex ideas to parents so that we are all moving together in a more seamless way on this issue. So with that, thank you very much for your time. I think we're going to open it up to questions, Pam? Or